Hey, this is Gina Duke with another She Speaks weekend workshop for structured prayer journaling. And I'm using my book, Organizing Your Prayer Closet. And inside the book is a structured prayer journal, enough to last you for 60 weeks. And then it has filled with chapters of examples of how to use the structured prayer journal, along with some great tips. And my setup for this particular week, which I'm taping for, is June 28th. I went back to my 1948 vintage McCall's book and pulled out this little girl. I did this because, well, first of all, I really have loved the vintage McCall's pattern book that I got. That's an idea I got off from the Reset Girl, and I've loved what she's done with her ode pattern book, so I kind of did the same. Summer kind of reminds me of my childhood, and so I went with this particular little girl. This is my mock journal. I'll show you the one that I used in my real journal. I used some washi tape, Scotch washi tape. I used green and white polka dot, and then I used this one with bicycles on it because that reminded me of summer too. And so that was kind of the color scheme I went with. And then to go across here, I used this washi tape from Ruth and Bill at mindthewrap.com. And it's like not a measuring tape, but I can't think of the word that you use for when you're measuring for your patterns and whatnot. It's left me. But anyways, that looks like it right through there. And I picked that out because, as you can see, the detail in her dress, it's got some orange and green, and her dress is blue. So that's how that went. And then I had some bottle cap little sticker there. They came out of this book that I've really loved, and it looks like measuring tape again. And so that kind of went with the vintage pattern theme. For my real prayer journal, the girl that I used kind of is this little girl right here. See, isn't she cute? And I went with kind of green and yellow there. And so I really had a good time with that. On this particular week, you can see in my mock journal, I don't really have a lot written down like I do in my real prayer journal. But probably one thing that stood out to me the most, you know, God He's so good, and He is a shepherd. We have to remember that we are people who are led by God, and He just goes before us. If we will pay attention, we will be able to see where He is going before us, and then it helps us to make great or better life decisions. And so this particular week, one of the things I gave praise for is I got a new booking to go speak at a women's conference, and I got some new traffic and subscribers on my blog, which I always am thankful for and appreciate, because when you're called into ministry and you step out in faith and try to follow through with it, what you believe God is calling you to do, it's good to see some response, because then you feel like you're getting confirmation that you're heading the right spot. Now, that's not the way it always is in ministry. Ministry I've found to be very difficult, because I'm used to working in corporate America where every month I'm measuring my turnover, because I'm an HR professional. I'm measuring my turnover. I'm measuring absenteeism, and I'm having to give an account for those things, and I'm having to come up with plans to make those measurements or those key performance metrics better, and then I usually can see results. And that's not the way it works in ministry. You can do a lot of things in ministry, and especially I found this even in my church, and you cannot always see it. You can't always see the things that you're doing, that you're implementing, how it's translating into people's lives. Sometimes you can, a lot of times you can't, and it can be very frustrating. So I'm always thankful for any time that I see response back from something that I'm doing, because, you know, I am human, and I find that I need that ongoing confirmation for the Lord that He's trying to use me. Otherwise, everything I'm doing is just in vain. And even though I love this part of it, I'm really doing it because I want to appeal to people who love to do planning in their agendas and show you how you can do this with the same concept in prayer journaling. And so I really believe this is what God's called me to, the structured prayer journaling. I believe that's what He's given me to impart, along with 1 Peter 4:7, which says, "The end of all things is near, therefore we need to be clear-minded and disciplined for prayer." And I believe God's called me to that, and to impart that, and that's what I really work hard to do. So I have been getting more calls and inquiries for coming to speak, and the funny thing about it is right now I've been in this heavy season in my life where my schedule is packed full, and I've talked about that in previous videos, and nothing has changed about that, and my life is crazier than ever. But God is so good, because I had a couple of weekend dates where I'm planning a company picnic, and I had a couple of dates that I needed to decide upon, and lo and behold, right before I got approval to do the company picnic, I'd met with one of the team member from a women's ministry at a church, at a local church, for lunch one day, and she had given me a tentative date that she was thinking they would ask me to come speak. And then I got approval for my picnic, and so that was going to, when I looked at the calendar of all the weekends we could do it, it came down to 2 dates. And one date was a date that church had already tentatively booked with me. And I just thought, God is so good, because now I know what date I'm going to book the company picnic. Now, I know that may sound silly to some people, but God is just, I think it's wonderful. God is just good to me, and He helps to direct me, and even in my work life. And He didn't do anything that, He just prepared that for me, because I only had those 2 weekends, and I am free to do the things I need to do on the appropriate weekends. And so I noted that, because that is God speaking to me and using those circumstances to keep me on task. And so I really appreciate that. One thing I thought that I would show you today that I had done a picture of a while back is little pockets. I had a sheet in my real prayer journal. This is the one that I really use. This is my mock journal. And this is the real one that I use, because I love little birds. But I had skipped a page. I guess my washi tape had stuck together, so when I went to start a new page a while back, I had skipped a page. So originally, when I realized it, I had just wrote the word void across that worksheet, which it was really ugly, so it really bothered me. Well, I had bought these little file inserts, these little pocket file inserts. And I think I got them at Tuesday morning. I thought maybe the same day I went to Hobby Lobby, and Tuesday morning, and bought a bunch of things, scrap things, and to use in my prayer journals. And so I'm thinking I had gotten this at Hobby Lobby, but actually, because of the price tag and where it says compare at this price, I believe I did probably get it at Tuesday morning. I love this. I'm going to use these two together at some point. You see the color scheme of the black and the white, and then the orange. I love that. So I had several of these, and I did not know how I was going to use them in my actual prayer closet organizer, which is the structured prayer journal inside, because you can see how narrow these are. They're really just for jotting little prompts to use to pray. So I had not figured out how I was going to use that. So I decided I would take that one page in my real prayer journal that I had goofed up, and that I would actually put scrapbook paper down, and that's what I did. I had some scrapbook paper, so I just cut it. You can see I've cut it to where it generally fits, and then I used washi tape. This washi tape, it came from, again, it's Scotch tape that I got at like an Office Depot, and I really like how it feels too. So you can see I just did the edges, and this was funny little piece of paper, because the paper was mostly blank, and it had this little hello, and it kind of went with this color scheme. I looked for the ones that went with the color scheme of my pockets, and so I found this one, and then I did another one. You see I like little birds, and I just put this at the bottom, and I just went ahead and stuck these two inside this page, and I just glued it on there. And so that's how that turned out, and it's in the very middle of my little prayer journal. So I love it. I'm really liking that. You can see, I'll show you something in just a minute, but here's the card that went in it. This says good times, so I can make a record of some good times. And also, I had this left over from my scrapbook paper, so I just thought I would stick that in there, and it gives me a little extra sheet. So you can actually, put some more sheets in your little pockets, even if you purchase them. And I love this little pocket, because it did come with this cute card that says noted and documented, but I had some of this extra scrapbook paper, and look, you pull it out, it says hi. So I can put some extra things in there So again, it's kind of a layered type look. I had some of this brown paper left over from this sheet that I can pull out and write on the back of, and then another shorter one. And you can see I have already used this one. It was just stuff. And I'm actually, this is kind of like brainstorming. I brainstormed, if you follow the Reset Girl, she does the hashtag for Listers Got a List, and she comes up with monthly list that you work on, and you build a cute little page in a journal. And the Lord just put it on my mind to do a hashtag for rank and file, and which is funny because I get to file this away. But anyways, I had all these ideas of these different topics that I could also give my followers for the Prayer Closet Organizer, this little rank and file list of like your, rank your and file, make a list of your favorite women in the Bible, maybe the most meaningful Bible verses, 5 things you would tell your younger self, from a spiritual standpoint, all-time favorite hymns. It would be neat just to have like a list of your top favorite things or most meaningful things that relate to your spiritual life. And so you'll be seeing me come up with that. I thought about, because I was thinking how I could use it additionally, these note pages right here, this what I call the bulletin board a lot of times, because you could make a list right there. So we could decorate, or you could decorate your sheet every week with something different about that. Or you could take a whole nother sheet and actually do something just like I did with this little pocket index page and do one. So I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to do mine, but I will start sharing that at some point. So you can make your own list, and you can look forward to when I release this list. So if you want to do something additional that still makes your book a really wonderful keepsake and family legacy. So that was kind of cool. Another thing that I did that I've really kind of enjoyed, I haven't used it yet, is when I cut out the scrapbook, I made an additional pocket. So you can see where I began to write void, a big V, or I did write void actually. So I cut it, I left it a little bit short. Now you could get like a little tack and that flares out and like button this page if you wanted to. So that's something I may do later. I just thought about that, so I wish I'd already done it. And see, this page I cut it a little bit short too, and I left it open. I didn't put washi tape down this side, and left it open where I can like put a pocket there. And again, I can buy one of those little, I don't know what you call it, but you can just stick it in. It looks like a thumbtack, and then it flares out on this side and actually button it up. And then it won't take away from what you've done on your other pages. So that is a little bit about what I've been doing with my prayer journal, and that's my setup for June 28th. My setup for this next week, which turned out to be the 4th of July week, I'm disappointed in my in the mock journal. I had bought from Walmart the cutest stickers for the 4th of July, and I got crazy with my own structured prayer journal, and I just loaded it up, and then later I was like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't save any for my mock journal, except for this one, which I didn't care so much about. It's kind of a bicentennial type thing, or it was a bicentennial when I was back in 76. I remember in 1976, this was such a big deal, this date, and so that's what it always reminds me of. And so you can see I use these little stickers because I went back to Walmart and the packet that I had used was gone, so I just bought these stickers and stuck them on there. So I'm not as excited about this setup, but I am excited to show you what God did that particular week and talk to you more about that. So thanks for stopping by, and in the meantime, till I see you next time, happy prayer journaling.